everyone. So I'm Ms. Shikawi, the new French teacher at James Wellington Academy. I'm really excited that this opportunity to be working here in primary. I've been teaching for 6 years, 4 years in the UK and 2 years in Dubai. So this is going to be my third year, and I'm really excited to have joined this school. So this is about me, and now about French in primary. So we are following the British National Curriculum, which is based for Key Stage 2 around 12 teaching requirements that need to be achieved by the end of Key Stage 2, so by the end of Year 6. Here they are. I'm just going to go through them just quickly. So they are based around the 4 skills: speaking, listening, reading, and writing. So for the listening, they should be able to listen and understand spoken language, and being able to understand question, be able to join and respond. For the speaking, so obviously be able to form sentences using familiar vocabulary, be able to have short conversation, asking and answering questions. The reading, so will be by the end of Key Stage 2, be able to read carefully and show understanding of words, phrases, and simple writing. So we will build it up to be able to understand short paragraphs. For the writing, it's going to be the same. So it would be starting with be able to write familiar words, phrases, sentences. With another particular point about pronunciation and phonetics, which I really emphasize in my lessons, as I think is the key, not just for speaking, but also for reading and listening. I want our learners to be independent learners, so be able to read independently, not just saying a word because they heard it many times, but because they can break it down in terms of phonemes, and so just be able to read fluently and independently. And the phonetic bits will also help them with their listening, as if they can listen and recognize the phonemes, be able to transcribe the word, then they will be able to understand what they hear. So I'm going to really put an emphasis on phonetics and pronunciation. And then you can see through the 12 bullet points, the 12 targets for Key Stage 2. The grammar will be kept basic, so be able to understand gender agreement, conjugation, using the verb, the correct form of the verb with the personal pronoun. So these are the teaching requirements for the end of Key Stage 2. And this is how they're going to be broken down to ensure progression from Year 2 to Year 6. So as you can see, they are based around the 4 skills with the grammar. The grammar won't be taught separately. It will be there to support the writing, the speaking. And you can see, as regard to the progression, it starts with familiar words to phrases, and then developing a wider range of vocabulary, using wider range of phrases, be able to write sentences. And then in Year 5, it's more complex sentences, simple text, introducing short paragraph in their writing. For their speaking, for example, having short conversations. And for Year 6, so by the end of Year 6, the 12 requirements we've just seen should be achieved. So when we look, for example, at the speaking, they should be able to initiate and sustain simple conversation, write longer sentences, short paragraphs, accurate pronunciation, and yes, you can see. So this is for the progression. And now for the program we have, what we're going to cover, the topics we're going to be covering from year 2 to 6. So they are summarized here for the 3 terms. So in year 2, as you can see, we're starting with simple words. So French greetings, colors, numbers, and then simple question about name with the introduction of the alphabet to be able to pronounce the words correctly. Then the numbers, as you can see, shapes. So in year 2, the program is made such as will be around words, be able to recognize and be able to say and write words. In year 3, so we are reusing what they've learned obviously in year 2, developing it. So for example, for my everyday life, we're going to reinforce the colors, the object to check their understanding and introducing the vocabulary about classroom, instruction, objects, etc. And then we will integrate French with other subjects. So English, math, for example, when we do numbers, based it and interacted with math. Same with geography, which we will see later. Being able to, when we learn about French culture, French geography, linking it, using it as the context to integrate it with geography. So this is for year 4 and 5. So here the grammar bit is a bit more developed now. So the gender, be able to recognize masculine, feminine words. In year 5, be able to make the agreement, for example, and then we are developing the topics about hobbies, sports, so they can give their opinion as well. And here it is in year 4, the link with geography subject, for example. So I just give you a few seconds to have a look at the program for year 4 and 5. And for year 6, so we're going to be obviously reinforcing what has been taught before, be able for them to write and speak, for example, introducing themselves, and then building up to adding new content, for example, talking about their vacation, their weekend plans, their everyday life at school. Here we go. Now, how are French lessons going to look like during COVID? So as you're aware, we have split the classes. So we've got half of the class, I'm teaching half of the class and the other half is next door. Obviously it's live streaming so they can see me. I make sure to swap between classes. For example, I would just set a task where I make sure anyway, first of all, that they have understood the task, and then I will just check next door if they have as well. Sometimes I will set a, for example, reading task while I'm doing the speaking with the other half of the class next door, and then I swap. So the half that I did the speaking with them, I will give them the reading and then go back to the other half, so I can be in both classrooms and explaining if necessary, doing the speaking, for example, with them, so I need to be there. When possible, the classwork is set on CISO for year 4 to 6. For the one in class, it's with worksheet, but we make sure to sanitize our hand before giving out worksheets. And for the remote learners, all the classwork that will be done during the lesson is set on CISO, so they follow the lesson with us, and just telling them, go on CISO and open this worksheet, this activity to complete, and then we all do the correction together. So they do it at the same pace as the students in class. So no shared resources, obviously, like each student have their own worksheets. And it's no shared. Pair work is at a distance. So for example, during the pair work activities, they won't share the resources as sometimes would happen when they do games and stuff. But here, each student have their own resources. They keep at a distance when doing pair work. And when they do speaking activities, for the one at home who don't have a partner to interact with, I set a different speaking activities with the correction, with the explanation, or record myself explaining the task so they can work independently while the students in class do their pair work. So that's for how the French lesson will look like during this time. And yes, any question now?
Ms. Shikawi, I'm back. I was listening as we go through. Thank you very much for sharing how French works in primary school. I just wanted to recap on a couple of things that Ms. Shikawi's gone through, just for those people who have joined a little bit later on during the meeting. So what we covered at the start was we had Ms. Shikawi talked about we follow the British National Curriculum, and she shared 12 key teaching requirements, which you will follow throughout the year. She also shared a slide about the progression in listening, reading, writing, speaking, and grammar from years 2 to year 6. And it was really good that she shared an overview for the entire year for each year group. So you can see exactly what the children will be learning in French in term 1, in year 2, in term 2, and in term 3. And that is across all year groups from years 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And at the end there, Ms. Shikawi just touched on how French looks in the classroom. It's very similar to how our classroom teachers are teaching, with the live streaming across 2 classrooms in years 2 to year 4, and with the live stream to the remote learners. And then also in years 5 and 6, you've obviously got those live streams to the breakout zones and of course to the remote learners too. Ms. Shikawi, we did have a question about French in year 1, but I've already answered this one because French at the Academy starts in year 2.
Yeah.
We've also got a question here from Emmanuelle. She has asked, do you give resources and worksheets specific for French native speakers? Is that differentiated for those guys? Do you want to touch on that for us?
Yes. So yeah, for the native speakers, I've had them now in my lesson, and I've been able to assess their level. So they have indeed a native speaker level. So for them, I have designed activities, worksheets based around the French curriculum, what they would be doing for if they were like in French school, as French won't be a foreign language for them. So I'm going to, indeed have, so this would be, for example, for year 2 and 3, reinforce their pronunciation, teaching alphabet, developing their vocabulary in French. For year 4, would be developing for the grammar, for example, the structure of the sentence, working around in the articles, the gender agreement. That would be as well for year 5, for example. Focusing on grammar and for the spelling as well. So spelling, grammar, and conjugation, that would be something they will benefit from. So be able to write more developed paragraph in French, using more developed vocabulary, more structured sentences. The grammar, for example, will be based around as well, be able to write accurately without spelling mistake, as they would hear it, as they would hear the words, have the correct transcription, the correct spelling. For example, c'est could be the possessive adjective, or it could mean the it is. So like this kind of common spelling mistake if they are not used to write much in French. So just helping, they have the knowledge, but obviously making them having a more accurate writing and knowledge of grammar and conjugation in French. So I would be indeed making separate worksheets for them based around their age group and what they would have, for example, in a French curriculum, as French won't be taught for them as a foreign language.
Thank you very much, Ms. Shikawi, for answering that question. I hope that helps Emmanuel. And we've got another question about having some work and resources. Thank you very, very much. Emmanuel's just said, wonderful, that's absolutely fantastic. I'm looking forward to meeting you soon, hopefully.
Thank you.
We've got another question here just about, obviously we talked about the native speakers in French there, which was great, and the differentiation that's going on in lessons. And now we've just got a question about those children who are non-native speakers, and if you're going to provide some extra work for those guys to help boost their French knowledge. And
obviously, yeah, that's part of any of my lesson, having the differentiation with some students who are a bit more able and some that they've maybe just joined the school, didn't do French before. So there would be differentiated worksheets. Worksheet like could be differentiation by outcome, by resources, by support. So yeah, differentiation will be provided as I have assessed the level of my students, and I can spot who needs more help and support than others. So yes.
Thank you. And I presume I'm just saying that with that question there, that for home learning, French work will be uploaded onto the Padlet.
Yes.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes, so it could be, for example, sometimes just a link to practice the vocabulary through songs. It could be a worksheet, an activity to complete. It could be consolidation of what we have done in class. It could be some writing to do. It could be as well some preparation ahead of what we're going to be introducing in class. So for example, just listening to the song and getting familiar with it before we do it in class. So yeah, the homework will take different formats with different purposes to consolidate, to reinforce, or just to practice what they learned in class.
Thank you very much. That's great. Have we got any more questions for Ms. Shikawi before we leave the room, or is everybody happy? We've got another thank you in the chat.
Thank you. That's great. Thank you. Merci, Emmanuel.
Yeah, I can't read that, so I hope you can. Yeah, obviously you can. Thank you, guys. So if there's no more questions, thank you again for attending this session today to meet Miss Shikawi, our new French teacher at the Academy. This will be available to watch online. We will put a link on D6, so you can watch this back, and parents who have not been able to join today, they will be able to join, they'll be able to watch that on that link. If you do have any questions in the future, thank you. I've just seen Emmanuel's message there. If you do have any questions in the future, you can get in touch with Ms. Shikawi via email, or you can email myself and I can pass on your questions if you do feel the need to get in touch at a later date. Thank you very much for attending again. Thank you, Ms. Shikawi, for leading the presentation.
Thank you for the parents who attended.
No, very excited about French this year at the Academy. Is there anything else you want to say before we leave?
No, thank you to everyone who attended. Really excited as well to be working here with your kids. So yeah, excited.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining, and have a lovely evening. We'll speak to you soon.
Thank you.
Bye everyone.